Hello, and welcome to our video for week 5 of the Way of the Desert, a week which we spend in the book of Deuteronomy listening to the preaching of Moses, a very old man by now, as he addresses the Israelites beside the River Jordan, reflecting on the past, looking towards the future, then climbing a mountain and taking one long lingering look over the promised land before he dies. It's been a remarkable life, born at a time of great danger, raised in Pharaoh's household, exiled, and finally at an age when most of us will be hanging up our work clothes and getting out the slippers, called to fulfill one of the most challenging leadership tasks of all time. And there's something about these great speeches in the book of Deuteronomy, Moses' famous last words, that sums up his legacy as a man of extraordinary integrity, commitment, faith, and wisdom. Among the tributes scattered through the Exodus story, 2 especially stand out. That here was a friend of God, one whom the Lord knew face to face, and that here was a very humble man, more humble than anyone else on the face of the earth. The trek through the desert had been really hard, of course, especially the bitter disappointment of that 40-year delay. At times the faith of Moses and the Israelites had been tested to breaking point. But looking forward to their conquest of the promised land, Moses had a surprising message for the people, that this land flowing with milk and honey would prove even more challenging to their faith than the desert had been. For when we're settled and prosperous, when we feel we've really arrived, especially that we've really arrived through our own skill and hard work, the tendency is to begin to regard ourselves, not God, as the centre of our little universes, a tendency that becomes almost irresistible. I like that word affluenza, which sums it up beautifully. That's why the great festivals were so important as a remedy for this particularly virulent disease. Tabernacles, Passover, and the Feast of Weeks, which correspond to our Christmas, Easter, and Pentecost. It's why Moses encouraged the Israelites to keep retelling the story of their humble beginnings and of God's amazing grace in drawing them from slavery to freedom. For shared festivals and shared stories act as a kind of punctuation to the year, giving us regular opportunities to stop, to reflect, and to centre our lives around God again, rather than living those lives as one relentless, meaningless stream of consciousness. Shared festivals and shared stories also keep us together, which is why our increasingly frantic, individualistic 24/7 society is pulling us further and further apart. So there's great wisdom to be found in these readings, and there's a major challenge here too. What is the legacy that we would wish to leave behind when it's time for us to climb that mountain and look out over the promised land? It's a question that helps focus the mind, one that challenges our human tendency to be too earthly minded to be of any heavenly use. And the answer for us, as for Moses, will lie not just in our achievements, great or small, but in our characters and our relationships, especially that primary relationship with God himself. For what better tribute could anyone pay of us than first that we were humble people, and second, that we were friends of God. Thanks for listening.